for the big interview. Now, my guest for today is a woman that I say we've heard of her. I mean, so many of us have heard of her. We've admired her from afar. We've always wished to know how she's been able to achieve it. And today we get the opportunity to get to know how she's done it so far, because what she does is not easy. It takes sleepless nights. It takes a lot of sacrifices. She is a creative entrepreneur, a marketing communications and event specialist. Now I'm talking about the CEO of Charterhouse, Theresa Ayoade. Good morning, Theresa.
Good morning. And
how are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You're looking so beautiful.
Thank you.
Now, I know so many people are glued to their television set and they're like, okay, we want to see how beautiful Theresa is looking. Now, your fashion sense is always top notch.
Thank you.
Are you a fashionista?
I hope I am. I try to be. I try to be.
So when you're stepping out on a daily basis, I mean, what goes through your head? What, like when you're picking your clothes?
Well, it depends on the kind of look I want. If it's a formal look, I just have to make sure that I'm well coordinated with a few, with classic pieces. And if it's a casual look, same. But I tend to go more for the casual look than the formal.
Okay, and I'm loving this.
Thank you.
I think I'll come into your wardrobe one of these days.
Okay,
I'll definitely grab a few
You
pieces.
can do a wardrobe raid. No
I have to. Now, you've been in the industry for over 22 years.
Yes.
What has sustained you? How did it all start?
It's a long story.
Let's start with the starting, and then we go to the sustaining.
Yeah. I would say that the story of Charterhouse, that's my business, the business that I co-founded, started in year 2000. Prior to that, I was working at Joy FM. So I guess I'm back home. I worked at Joy FM and Love FM in Kumasi for about 4 years. And then I branched out to set up Charterhouse together with my husband. So that's how Charterhouse started. In fact, when growing up as a teenager, I didn't even know I was a creative. I didn't even know about the industry, really. All I knew was my father was a banker, and so I wanted to be a banker.
Oh.
You know, and work with the World Bank. You know, so I wanted to actually be a developmental economist working with the World Bank. I was so clear what my path was, you know. I didn't know anything about the creative industry, but as life would have its turns, I found myself in a situation where my path didn't go exactly as I was expecting it to go, and I had to reinvent myself. So I decided to look for a job at Joy FM, and I got a job as a sales executive. So that's how I got introduced to the media. And I was selling radio advertising. So we're one of the first few people who started selling radio advertising when private radio started. We're the pioneers of private radio. And so I spent a few years doing that, and I began to become a master, you know, of the game. And when the opportunity came to set up Love FM in Kumasi, I was selected out of the team to go to Love FM and set it up. Set up the sales and marketing department. So I led the team to set up the department in Kumasi. I did all the recruitment, and this was pretty early. I was probably about 24 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, as you were speaking, you actually did mention that you wanted to be a banker, but something changed along the way. What is that something?
What changed?
What changed?
Okay. I went to the UK to pursue my degree course in economics, and my parents were sponsoring me at the time, but my father ran into a few financial challenges, which made it difficult for him to continue paying my fees or sponsoring me. So at a point I had to stop, and so those are some of the challenges I had to face. Yeah, I had to stop. My education was truncated, and I was just not doing anything. So I decided that instead of just sitting in London not doing anything, why don't I come back to Ghana and see what I could do? So I packed up my bags without any plan of what was going to happen in Ghana. This was at the age of 21. or 22, and I packed my bags and came back to Ghana. That okay, here I am.
What did your parents say when you returned?
They were not happy because at that time everybody was going. Everybody was getting a visa and just getting out of town, and here was I coming back, you know. And at that time, my mates were in university, and so it was quite difficult and challenging for me because I had gone abroad to go to school and I couldn't finish, and I had to come back, and my mates were in uni, and yeah, I was at home without anything to do. So I decided to, I called up a friend. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm back in Ghana, I'm still trying to figure out what to do, you know. And he said, oh, I have a shop, you can come and sit in my shop. I said, okay, better than sitting at home. So I went to sit in the shop in Adabraka. So I was a store girl.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
No one would have thought.
Yes.
And what were you selling?
Well, the shop was selling lighting fittings.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So I was a store girl in Adabraka. That's how I started my career in Ghana, you know. When I was in the UK, I also did, I worked in retail. I worked in companies like The Gap and, you know, H&M and those kind of high street retail stores. So I understood sales, yes. So I started working in the shop in Adabraka. But while I was there, I heard the private radio, Joy FM had just started. So I was curious, and then I felt that, okay, I think I'd like to work there because I like to chat, I like to have fun, you know, so let me just go find an opportunity there. So I walked in, and I was introduced to the CEO then, who was Sakwesichum. And so we had a chat. He looked at my CV, he looked at my work experience so far, and he said, I think you should do sales. Because I went in wanting to be a presenter. Oh. But at that time, they didn't have slots for just presenting. It was DJing. You had to be a DJ before you could present.
Okay.
And I was not into that kind of like music like that. I was more about chatting to people, but radio hadn't gotten to that point yet. So I guess they didn't understand what I was saying. So they tried to get me to present a few programs and to read announcements and the news and all of that. And said, nah, you're not cutting it. And I said, I knew I wasn't going to cut it. That's why I said I wanted to present, ask questions, interview, you know. And they said, okay, so why don't you try sales? Because from your CV, you've done some sales. I said, okay, why not?
Were you disappointed?
I was. But then I thought, well, let's try. So he gave me a lot of books to read on radio sales. And so I went home, read, and I came back. I said, good, I think I can do this. And that's how I started my radio career in sales. And then from there, I got promoted to Love FM. When Love FM was opening, I was the only girl in the sales team. And when the opportunity came to set up Love FM, I was the one who was promoted to go to Love FM as a sales and marketing manager to set up the station for the marketing department of this. I did all the recruitment, and I worked in Kumasi for about 2 years. And I came back to Accra, came back to Joy FM. I was promoted to the promotions manager. So together with my team, we organized a lot of big promotions. That's when radio was really doing big, awesome promotions. We did some huge promotions. We had this Disneyland promotion where we would send families to Disneyland. Right. We would did a big promotion called Get a Life, where we gave away a brand new life, like a house, a car, fully furnished house with everything you can think of. I mean, like a couple won it. So those are the big things we did, and I realized that I was very excited and interested when it came to things like that. So at a point, I met my husband, who was also in the industry.
And he said, leave. Your husband pulled you away from multimedia, right?
Well, you saw that I had so many ideas, you know, so many ideas, and then so many things we could do together. And so I left multimedia and set up Charterhouse together with my husband. And then our first event was the Ghana Music Awards. And we moved on from there to set up to establish other events. And I think after Ghana Music Awards, we did Miss Malaika, and then we launched Stars of the Future and the Night of 1,000 Laughs. So we created our own content. And then we also offer our services to companies that wanted to also organize events. So we did a lot of big concerts with Space Phone at that time, and a host of other companies.
Of course, organizing these big events is never easy.
Yeah.
I mean, it means sleepless nights. It means you working with
course.
people, getting angry at a point in time.
It's one of the most difficult jobs you can imagine, because I always say it's a job that includes brain and brawn. You know, most jobs are either brains sitting on the desk and just doing a lot of office work, or you're out there in the field doing field work. But our job includes both the brains and the brawn, because you have to do a lot of planning and conceptualization, budgeting, and putting all that together, doing a lot of risk analysis of everything you do. And then after that, you have to wear your boots and your trainers and go on the field and actually be there on location to ensure that everything that is supposed to be set up is set up. And that can take days and a lot of walking up and down, and it's a lot of work. And by the time you finish a project, you just be so totally flat out.
When you started the Ghana Music Awards, how challenging was it? Because it was the very first one, getting sponsors on board and everything.
It was very challenging. And every new venture was very challenging, because it was a new thing, and there was a lot of suspicion in the industry. You're coming to exploit us, you're coming to do this, you do that. We had to go around talking to the various groups of musicians, explaining to them the vision of what we were trying to do, and trying to get them to get a buy-in. So there was a lot of industry relations I had to do to get the industry on board, and then we also had to woo sponsors, explain to sponsors what we were trying to do. The first few editions were completely funded by us, because we had to show people what we wanted to do and what we could do. We had to demonstrate the talk, so to speak.
So fully sponsored by you?
Yeah, the first few editions. We had some sponsorship, but it wasn't enough to cover the cost. So we had to really chip in, and
where did you raise the funds from?
Because we raised the funds from a few corporate sponsorships, as well as our own funds. Because we were already a business entity doing. I told you we organize corporate events.
So you have something in the coffers.
We're also into advertising.
Okay.
Yeah, advertising as well. We had an advertising company called Multiple Concepts. That was actually the parent company. They were doing advertising. That's the company my husband set up, and I came to join him, and we set up Charterhouse. So there was already that parent company that was doing business in advertising sector. We were handling brands like Western Union. They produced Agro and a whole lot of other events, even before I joined. So there was already a business concern running. And so the Charterhouse was an offshoot of that, focusing purely on events and production. So we had the advertising company was the one funding the events company.
Until the main sponsors came on board.
We had main sponsors coming on board as the event progressed. We had more sponsors coming on board,
Now, let's talk a bit about Ghana Music Awards, because it's one of your biggest events.
Yes, it's our flagship event.
Yes, your flagship. Now, there's been a few backlash every time you have this event. I don't know how you deal with it. For over 22 years, you know, you've had people come out say, oh, no, this person didn't deserve the award, this person bought this award, all sort of things. I mean, how do you handle such publicity?
Well, there'll always be, in any case or in a situation where there's going to be a winner declared, there'll always be other parties who would have felt they should have won, and rightly so. I mean, everybody has a right to feel what they want to feel. But what we have done is just to put in place a process, and we don't, as a company, select winners. We put in place a process which is clearly advertised and promoted. So the process is very clear, and the process generates the results. And the process is overseen by KPMG, which is a well-renowned business advisory firm, and they've been with us from the beginning. So they oversee the process, and we all have to live by the results of the process. So that's it. Sometimes, I mean, we ourselves on the night of the event, we are as surprised as everybody else at the results. But the results are not controlled by just one group. We try to split it across public voting, academy voting, vote voting. So there are 3 voting blocks, and you have to win considerably across the voting blocks to win. category.
Okay.
So that's how we've done it, in the way that you have to really win convincingly across the 3 blocks to win. So no, we have no hands. I mean, I have 1 vote on the board, just 1 single vote.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, and the whole idea is not for us. If it was an honorary award, then we would decide who would win, you know. But it's not an honorary award; it's a People's Choice Award. So the results are what they are. What we can do is to always go back and review the process and see whether things are changing and whether things are getting just to maintain balance. So that's what we owe to ourselves and to the industry to do all the time, to review the process. I mean, that's something we do every year before we start the process. We sit down, we look at everything, what has changed in the industry, what are the changes going on in the world, and we try to refresh it and make it current. And that's why the event has remained current and one of the strongest and biggest events in Ghana so far, because we always make sure that we are up to date with trends and we are up to date with what's happening in the industry. You're human. As much as you're strong, there will definitely be that time where you are pushed to the wall. And these stories, obviously, when you hear some of them, they push you to the wall. Which of them broke you? I feel that when people are looking for somebody to blame and they turn it, they make it personal. That's when it really gets to me sometimes. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of some of the big issues that have happened in the past regarding the scheme. We had the issues of Shatawale making personal attacks at us, the organizers, when we were just trying to follow a process. And sometimes people just feel that you still have an influence somewhere, but it's just about following the process. And we've been very clear about that. I mean, we have no interest in whether artist A or artist B wins. We are professionals. We are professionals like that, you know. My livelihood doesn't depend on an artist A or artist B winning. It's about building a sustainable brand and making sure that the brand flourishes alongside the industry. Our main aim is to really cast a positive spotlight on the industry, to project the industry for the world to see, and I believe we've done that. So when Shatta was doing all of that, did it break you? Not break, in a sense. Did it make you cry? Oh no, not cry. Not cry, but upset. You were upset? Yes, very upset. Especially the one that happened on the 20th anniversary, when the whole altercation happened at the events and the gun incident and all of that. That was very upsetting because we had worked really hard. We had worked really hard that particular year to put up a new venue to be able to accommodate the growing event, and we got it ready just in the nick of time for the show to happen. I mean, we were doing everything for the industry to shine, and the industry like imploded on us. It was very, very disheartening. It was very disappointing, very upsetting, and what pained me the most was all the dignitaries we had pulled and brought there just to expose the industry to them and for them to take us seriously, you know, and begin to factor us more properly in government budgets, in economic planning, begin to take the creative industry seriously, you know, and all of that just fell down like a house of cards, you know. But I think we were resilient, and we're able to deal with the issues, the matters, the issues at heart, and I think we're able to rise above that and move on. We learned our lessons also along the line. Yes, we learned our lessons. I mean, to take security more seriously. Yeah, I was going to talk about security. To take security, because that was a total breach of security. So we had to take security more seriously and put more measures, more stringent measures in place regarding that, and also intensify our artist engagement, our industry engagement, to get them to understand that we all shine when it goes well. When it looks good, we all look good. You know, when it goes bad, we all look bad. So we all need to work together to make it good and to continue to sustain that interest in our industry, especially by corporate Ghana, because if you are not able to present a good front for the industry, corporate Ghana will shy away from you. And what can we do? We need them to keep going. So for us, it was very important to maintain that discipline. And so we had to take some harsh decisions, which some obviously some people were not happy with, but I think we've been able to ride the storm, and we are back on our feet.
Definitely you are. But, you know, when I posted the flyer and, you know, a few people came into my inbox and their question was, why did Charterhouse sell off GH1?
We are creatives. So before we actually set up GH1, we were the largest independent content producers because we had a lot of titles running on TV. We're very passionate and about creating local content. And that's why we decided to set up a TV station for us to be able to express ourselves creatively. We were not interested in creating a TV station and filling it with imported content. We really wanted to create and work with the creative ecosystem to provide jobs, you know. But the environment was not very conducive for that. There was no protection of local content. So we have found ourselves competing with other stations that were producing very cheap local international content, just buying telenovelas, $250 an episode and slapping it on TV and getting the eyeballs, obviously, because obviously they have good storylines and sponsors running towards those, you know, whereas we were struggling to create local content, which was actually one, telling our stories, two, providing employment to people who have been trained in the field, and of course to produce one episode of a local content at that time was nothing less than 5,000 cedis. 5,000, and now I'm sure it's even more, about 10 or 15,000 cedis for one episode. To put on foreign content is $250 an episode. So you can make the math. It's more profitable for me to do that. Yeah. But that wasn't the spirit.
You get more sponsors.
More sponsors.
But you could have just, you know, if it's about the money, or it wasn't about the money.
It wasn't about the money for us. It wasn't about just the money. It was about the fact that we are creatives. We wanted to create. So the whole industry was not looking very viable for us because it wasn't just about slapping any content we got on TV and sitting back and crossing our hands. Then that would just make us, I mean, all the creatives that we've employed, what would they be doing? They'd be unemployed.
So you were running at a loss.
We were running at a loss, and we also felt that we also were too involved in the, I would say, the technical and the hard side of running a station. Like I said, we are creatives. We are into the soft side, the content, the creative. So we're looking at, we don't have to own a TV station to have good content. So why don't we let go the physical structure and all of that and focus on back to content creation? So we decided to let it go.
Any regrets?
No, because I feel that the market hasn't grown that much. I feel that the industry hasn't grown that much. It's still, you know, a bit of so long as we don't have that protection of our content, we don't have, I think there are a lot of, now the creative bill has been passed, but we are awaiting its implementation, but at least it's better than before. And if we can implement some policies in the bill that can really stimulate the industry, that's when we'll be interested again. But really are not interested in just getting telenovelas and slapping them on TV and calling it TV. No. And even worse, doing all those local voice dubs. I mean, it's so horrible. I mean, and we are creative, like I said, we are here, we represent an industry, a whole creative economy.
And
so
that's it.
Where's all of that?
Your husband handed over the Chief Executive Officer position to you.
Yes, he's moved on as the Group CEO.
Yes.
Yeah.
How did you feel when he said to take over?
Well, it wasn't a matter of takeover. It was, we've actually worked together at the top from the beginning. Yeah. So it was just a matter of time and everything was right. Yeah, to just step into that role.
Easy.
I used to be executive director, and I was made CEO, and that's fine.
People think you're Nigerian, are you?
No, I'm not Nigerian. I'm Ghanaian. My husband is Nigerian.
Right.
But I'm Ghanaian. I'm a purebred Ikuapem lady.
Okay.
Yes.
Mother, father, Ikuapem?
Yes. My mother's from Enum, and my father's from Latte.
Oh wow.
So I'm a Latarian.
I like that. So what schools did you attend?
I attended Achimota School from Form 1 to Upper 6. So I'm a thoroughbred Accra. And then I attended, I did a stint in the UK. I told you I studied, I was doing economics at UCL, University College London. The aim was to have done my first degree there and then move on to LSC to do my master's and all of that, but that didn't happen. So after doing a year at UCL, I came back to Ghana, worked for a while, I went back to Legon and I did psychology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in this industry that you're in, I know so many people out there who admire you and they want to rise to where you are.
Okay.
Of course, you've been through some challenges and we haven't spoken about it. Tell us a bit about some of the challenges and how you've been able to overcome them.
Of course, I mean, in our industry, of course, I mean, the challenges are funding. I mean, once you have a creative concept, you have to figure out how to fund it to bring it to life. And so there are not a lot of funding opportunities for the creative sector. I can't walk to a bank and say, I have a show I want to organize. So this is the budget. Can you fund me? And then I'll pay you back after. They just won't listen. I mean, most of the time, they don't even understand the creative economy. They don't understand the financial models, the creative economy. So getting funding from such the financial sector is out of them, it's off. Then you now have to depend on corporate sponsorship and provide them the opportunities to market their products, just as you do here on TV. So we fund most of our events through corporate advertising, and everybody is competing for the same marketing budget.
Yeah.
So you can imagine
you have a lot of people or event companies springing up.
Yes.
Is that competing enough for you? Like, does it put you under pressure?
I would say that we consider ourselves pioneers in the industry, and as a pioneer, you expect the industry to grow. And so for us, it just shows that the industry has grown. We're talking about a 20-year journey. You cannot be the only player, you know. So there are so many people who have joined in, and even new people. Every year, new people join in the industry, and we need everybody for the industry to be vibrant. So we are okay. I feel everybody has their area of specialty and area of interest, and it just makes the whole industry vibrant, and we're happy about that. And also the fact that what I'm really actually impressed or happy about is the growth of the vendors. Now we have so many vendors which are supporting the industry, which is really good, because when we started, we had to do everything from scratch. You think the idea, you build the set yourself, you buy the lighting, you provide everything. So we're forced to go into equipment, logistics, technical equipment and logistics from the very beginning, because there was none available to the standard and the quality that we needed. And we are even still not there yet. I mean, for certain high-level events, you still need to bring in a lot of equipment and a lot of expertise. That's another area that we are lacking. We don't have institutions teaching people the actual skills that we need for our industry. You know, as I talk about academic and the gap between academia and industry is very huge in the creative sector, because we don't have specialized institutions training people for our industry. So you realize that the same few people are the ones being circulated by everybody, and it gets quite limiting and challenging. Do you have plans
of starting a school?
I mean, with all the years of experience I've gained, of course, I should be able to share it in some way. And nowadays, with online education and all of that, there's so many options and opportunities. So definitely something I would love to do when I hang my boots. Okay. You know, I would like to share my experiences. So how soon are we looking at that? Train people in the next couple of years. That's nice. Yes. That's great to hear. Yes. So we are looking at around 2025. In a couple of years, yeah. That's good. But knowing you or reading a little bit about you, it could even be at the end of this year. We never know. Theresa, what makes you happy? What makes me happy? What makes me happy is, for where my work is concerned, is for a dream that we have visualized, that we've dreamt of, a concept, an idea, really coming alive, and seeing it work, and seeing my clients happy. If it's a corporate event, we go through the full process of planning, strategy, execution, and if it goes well, I'm extremely happy. And then if it's a public event, seeing my patrons happy, and just seeing that something that we designed on paper really coming alive before your very eyes, for us is the highest satisfaction. I mean, all the pain and the stress and the anger and everything just melts away, just like a mother going through birth pains. Right. You know, you go through the whole birth pains of pain and childbirth, and then when you see the baby, you forget the joy and you forget all the pain. So for me, that makes me happy work-wise. I mean, personally, I think That's a very important question. What makes me happy? I think peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Peace of mind makes me happy.
Theresa, thank you so much for being here. I wish I had all day to keep talking to you.
I wish I had
You have a very beautiful voice. I don't know why you don't sing as a musician, a professional musician, but you sing in church, don't you?
Well, everybody.
You have a favorite song?
I actually like Dana Hamilton's song.
Okay, so we'll sing that when we are ending. But thank you so much for sticking and staying with us throughout the morning show from 6 a.m. to this time. We are super grateful. My name is Roslyn Felly. I've been doing this with K to the M to the J, and of course the golden girl is Siedua. My guest for today has been Theresa Ayoade, and she has told us her journey thus far. I'm super inspired this morning.
Thank you.
And
thank you for having me.
I love your blue. And your nails is beautiful.
Blue and
you recently celebrated your 50th birthday.
Yes, I
didn't know you
did.
then, but I'll definitely be at your 51st.
Definitely.
So we are singing our favorite song. So which one are we singing to end the show?
Adum.
Adum. Let's go.
That.
Adumo, Adum, Adumo, Adum. Adum intina mitiasi, Adum tina me wohwa. All the essence of my praise is centered on your grace. Adum, Adum, Wadum. Thank you so much, Theresa. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.